Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Driving the Move to Text Coding in Middle School with Tynker's web session. My name is Leandra, and I will be your host for today. I am also joined by Dan Gallagher, who will be hosting later on in this session. He will be hosting mid-session for us. He'll be doing some awesome coding with Tynker. All right, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to do a little introduction, and then we'll go from there. So a little bit about me. I am an educator community specialist at Tynker. Formerly, I was an international English teacher, and I was an ESL teacher, and I was also a computer lab teacher. So I had the opportunity to be with kids in the classroom, teaching them how to code, usually in the elementary school spectrum, and teaching English mainly to high school students. About my buddy, Dan Gallagher. He is currently a technology facilitator in Mill Run Township Public Schools. He has over 15 years of experience as an elementary teacher and resource specialist for technology in middle and high school, and he holds a Master of Education in Instructional Technology from Arcadia University, and he is a Tynker Distinguished Educator. In short, both of your presenters today love to code and love to teach students how to code as well. So what is our agenda going to be like today? We're going to start by talking about what is Tynker and why use Tynker in the classroom. Then we're going to go on into talking about Tynker's course progression. It starts from pre-K and goes straight through to high school. And then we're going to build with Dan. He's halfway through our session today. He's going to build a project and tell us his thought process as he's doing it with Tynker. And finally, we're going to talk about some great ways to get connected and get some extra support from the Tynker community. Now, what is Tynker? Well, in short, Tynker is the easiest way to teach computer science in schools. Now, it's a comprehensive curriculum starting in pre-K. We have a Tynker Junior app that teaches students computer logic already at an early age, as early as 3 years old, going all the way to high school where we have AP classes such as APCSA, APCSP, data classes for students, and even an art course that was developed by a friend of ours at Cal Poly. Also, we have a numerous amount of STEM courses as well. And for our teachers, we have automatic assessments, great classroom management, so progress reports, reward systems, and we also have awesome free professional development going year-round. And all of this is free of charge. So we want to take care of our students, and we also want to take care of our teachers as well. That is what Tynker was built on. Tynker was built on two principles: great coding tools and also easy to teach for teachers. And that was what our founders were thinking about. When they built Tynker, they wanted something for their own kids that really taught computer science in a way that was engaging, gamified learning environment, but also was teaching them real-world computer science skills that they were supposed to be learning, that real computer programmers use every day. And that's what they wanted for their students and for their kids. Now, Tynker is all about creating. We want students to do more than just code, but we want them to create with code and use art and music. We have block coding, text coding, and we have multiple languages such as Python, JavaScript, Swift, HTML, CSS, and we also have AR and Minecraft. All of these are different opportunities for students to create. Hardware such as microbit with a Python language, and also robotics and drones where they can actually program the drones and the robots to go through obstacle courses. We are past the days of dioramas and of poster boards. Now students can actually use code to create and show what they are learning in the classroom. And that's what Tynker wants to do. We believe that coding is the literacy of the future, and we really want our students to be ready for that. And that's what empowering kids to be makers is all about. Now, Tynker is a solution for every student. Tynker does have a premium account, but it is also mainly free. And that's the part that I work in, making sure that Tynker is free forever for everyone. Oh, Daniel Razak is here from Tynker. Hi, Dan. He's in the chat. If you guys have any questions, he'll be happy to help. And we also have Daniel Gallagher here as well. So 2 Dans. So we want every teacher to be able to bring coding into their classroom, and millions of students all around the world, thousands of teachers, use Tynker every single day. And so we want Tynker to be something that all of our students can go to be able to create with code in the classroom. Now, a little bit about Tynker's course progression. So as I mentioned earlier, Tynker starts from pre-K and goes straight through high school. And that's really amazing because it's a curriculum that's ready to go. So a teacher doesn't have to feel like they have to know computer science in order to bring Tynker into their classroom. On the contrary, Tynker does the teaching for you. And we have pre-reader apps, as I mentioned before, such as Tynker Junior, which we'll be talking a little bit more about tomorrow if you would like to join that session. And it's a tappable drag and drop type of platform on the app. And what's amazing is that students can build their own games, build their own cards. It's, again, all about project and creation. And there's even debugging, which is something that computer programmers do every day, and I find phenomenal. Also, there are drag and drop blocks for our elementary school students. So it takes them from icon-based blocks, which are tappable, to drag and drop blocks as their motor skills begin to improve. And then we go into middle school, where they start using syntax-free language blocks. Because as we know, when it comes to programming, the syntax can really start to trip us up if we forget a colon or a semicolon or parentheses, and then suddenly the code doesn't work. Well, Tynker has eliminated that problem with syntax-free language blocks. And then we go into high school, where we have text coding in JavaScript, Python, Java, processing, HTML, CSS, it goes on and on and on. And we have so many for them, and it's a lot of fun. And we want to make sure that, again, our students have access to this wherever they are, so they can get a good quality coding education. All right, so beginners start coding with Tynker Blocks, but that doesn't mean that we're going to leave them out of advanced coding logic, such as loops, variables, functions, and events. Even our littles in Tynker Junior, ages 3 through 6, actually get to do that. They also get gameplay and user interface design, and they get to build STEM and PBL coding projects. So we want to make sure that they have a good overview of everything that they will be able to learn, and also as they progress through the coding, they get more, and they'll have that good foundation of these loops, variables, functions, of this coding logic that they have to be familiar with, but then they can apply it and actually use more and more advanced coding techniques as they progress further. And then when they are ready, they go into more advanced courses, such as JavaScript and game design, and using some real-world coding languages. All right, let's go ahead and take a tour of Tynker. Let me share my screen here. And I'm going to go ahead and log in. Easy to log in, just use my Google account. And I'm going to focus today mainly on the free features of Tynker. Now, although Tynker has an amazing coding curriculum and a premium side to it, there's so much that can be done with Tynker for free. And let's go ahead and take a look at that now. And so there are 3 courses that are for free: Programming 100, Programming 300, and Barbie, You Can Be Anything. And with Programming 100, if we take a look at there, we can see that there are lessons that are already an overview of the lessons with topics, technical requirements, lessons, which goes into more detail about what each lesson is about for our teachers, as well as lesson plans underneath each one. All of the blocks that the students will be experiencing: vocabulary, objective, materials, warm-ups, getting started, everything that a teacher needs to get going, Tynker has it already ready for you to go. And also there's a nice nifty little answer key here, which has photos available. Classroom presentations is a favorite for our teachers because there's nothing like having your slides already ready, done for you. And you can share it with your students if you would like, or you can just go ahead and use it in the classroom. And so that is the first one. And Programming 100 is really the beginner. It really gets the kids started with coding. And we have different projects that they can start to learn how to use. There is also Programming 300, which we'll go to now. And I feel like it's a platter of everything that Tynker has to offer. And I love it because it has JavaScript, Python, and some projects there as well. And let's go ahead and take a look at those lessons here. Let's go ahead and do an Intro to JavaScript project. I'll do a turn the corner here. And if you guys would like to follow along, please, by all means, go ahead and log into Tynker and go ahead and try some of this for free. It's all free to use, free for teachers. And so here I am given a little bit of the story. So in lesson 1, we have the story behind it. And that is what's great about Tynker is it's very gamified, story-based. And so as you're going through it, you have a mission that your character needs to complete. And you're learning how to code along the way. And how fantastic is that? So here, Skyla was on last communication from the colony. It was suspected that the attack was a clever hack employing a quantum biogenic virus. Cyber troopers have been dispatched to investigate and correct the problem. And so now Skyla's on her mission to figure out what to do and how to reverse all of the hacks and take back control of the station. And so here we have the commands that will be used, and it explains in detail more about it. Oh, great, Brian. Yes, I love gamification and stories as well, for sure. And then it gives you hints about the coding language. So I know that I want Skyla to make it through to the portal. And here it says move forward 2 times. So I'm going to add another piece of code here. And let's see if it works. And I think my screen isn't big enough. So I'm going to make it a little bit larger here. Uh-oh. And there we go. There's my play button. Now you guys can see it. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and type that code in, press play, and let's see if it works. Yes, it works. Awesome. Let's do one more and see how that goes. So the next one, it's going to ask me to do something a little bit different. It's actually going to ask me to comment out the extra forward commands. So we're actually going a little bit backwards here. It's a different way of learning how to code here because it's a different way of looking at the logic. And so let's see, Skyla should go up 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So I need to comment out and make sure that there are only 4 forward commands. And let's see it go. Beautiful, go Skyla. So awesome, so much fun, and it just progressively gets more and more and more difficult. And that's what we want. We want to challenge our students, but at the same time, they want to complete it. They want their character to go through the mission. And that's what's awesome. Now let's go ahead and we're going to take a look at our Tynker dashboard just a little bit further for our teachers, because Tynker is all about our teachers and we want to make things easier for them. So I'm going to pop back into my classes here and I'm going to go to a classroom with just a few students, not many. And here you get an overview. You can see everything that your students are doing. We have certificates, activity, projects, lines of code, all of this for our students here. And for our teachers to see what our students are doing. And you can also get an overview. For example, if a teacher assigned a lesson and would like to see how it's progressing, have the students done their assignment, they can see it here. 20% of the students have completed 12 out of 12 of the lessons assigned. Very easy to get a bird's eye view, but you can also go even deeper and see what each student is doing one by one, and check on the lesson progress. And again, all of this is free forever for our teachers because we want to make it easier for our teachers. And so we can see how they're doing. We can also see concept mastery, which is something that as teachers we are interested in, of course. And we can see if they're beginner, intermediate, advanced, how well did they do during the lesson. Also, we can take a look at quiz results and attendance, which is a new feature because of COVID. So all of this takes place all within Tynker. And what's great about quiz results is that it grades the quizzes for you. Obviously, I didn't have any quizzes there because I didn't take any quizzes, but it grades the quizzes for you, and that's what's great. Teachers don't have to do any grading. How lovely. And so here we can take a look at our projects, and all of the projects that our students have completed are here and available. And what's awesome about the showcase is that the students can see what their classmates have completed, but it can also be set to public so that you can share it with your students' parents or guardians, and they can also see what other students are doing as well all around the world. It's up to the teacher about how they would like to set that privacy option. And students, so much available for students, but I would like to touch on the Tynker Smart Pass, which is awesome for our littles. They can just take a picture of it and snap. They are inside their account, which is fantastic. Teachers can also send all of these instructions to the parents, as well as progress reports, login cards, and student participation as well. So Tynker does a lot for you, including certification and badges for the students that you can print out or send to your students based on what they have been doing. And I think that is fantastic because as a teacher, I know for me, it wasn't always easy finding the right reward system for my kiddos, something that would keep them engaged, but Tynker has it all figured out here. And the last thing I would like to touch on regarding Tynker are the projects. So projects here are amazing because, again, this goes back to our creating with code. And let's go ahead and look at creating a project. Thousands of templates here, or rather hundreds of templates here that are available in different languages. And all of this is, again, free forever for everyone. And so our students can create with this anything that they would like. And for any class that they're taking, it doesn't have to be a computer science class. It can be science, it can be math, it can be history. All of these are ways to tell stories with code. And we have an awesome new synth project, which allows students to make music and art and games and physics. And it's all here for them to create. So it's really, really amazing what our students have access to and can use coding to do with Tynker. We also have the United Nations Sustainable Development Project, which allows them to use that as well. All right, so that is a nice quick overview of Tynker. And let's go ahead and look at some of the other courses that they have very briefly. And so Tynker is really big on STEM, on bringing STEM into the classroom. And although we have multiple coding courses, we also have plenty of STEM courses as well that align with coding and align with standards within your school or district. And so all of this is available here. And so this is another excellent way if you don't have an idea of how can I bring coding into my classroom, Tynker has already done the thinking for you. And we also have a great high school curriculum that is continuing to be developed as well as we prepare our students to pass the AP Computer Science exam, whichever exam that they are taking. All right, so going back to our slideshow, we're going to talk a little bit how we can move from block to text coding. And let me share that here. All right. So when it comes to moving from block to text coding, we'll have to start with blocks, of course. But how do we take it? How do we help our students progress so that they can move out of this comfort zone that they've been in? And what's great about Tynker is that something I forgot to mention is they don't have to start with Tynker from the beginning. They can take Tynker at any age. It's adaptable, and Tynker will get them on the right road of coding. So let's take a look at Candy Quest, and we're going to convert some of this code here and take a look at how we can move from block to text coding. So I'm going to pop back into Tynker, and we're going to go to Candy Quest. And we're going to see how we can move from block to text. And Candy Quest, if you'd like to follow along, I will go ahead and place the link in the chat here. And you can just go to Candy Quest. But I'm actually going to go within. So if you already logged in, I'm actually just going to go here in Programming 100. Go to Lessons, Candy Quest. And I'm going to try Get the Gumdrop. And so I'm going to program my character to walk to eat the gumdrop. So how many times will Cody have to walk? So it looks like you have to walk 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice and easy block coding example. Great. But how do we move from block to text? Well, if you notice at the bottom, these little icons here, they stand for different coding languages. So we have Python, Java, Swift, and JavaScript. And as you can see, the coding language is changing accordingly. And so the students can go ahead and start to visualize how their code is supposed to look. So based on the coding language that you would like to include for your students can go ahead and take a look at the way it would look in the actual language itself. And so let's go ahead and try Python. So we know that the definition on start, there's a parentheses and a colon, after which we have a few methods here. And let's go, Cody. Let's see if it was 4. Yes, and it was. Awesome. And so that would be how we would move from block to text coding. And I'm going to go back to our presentation here, and I'm about to turn it over to Dan. And he will show us some awesome coding with Tynker. And so let's go ahead and take a look there. One moment. And I'll do a little introduction. And so as I mentioned before, Dan is awesome. He has a master's, and he is very into computer programming and using Tynker. He's also a Tynker Distinguished Educator, and he uses Tynker quite frequently. And so we're going to talk to Dan a little bit today. So Dan, how do you deal with students that aren't inclined to code? Can you tell us more about that?
Well, a lot of the students that I work with, they have a natural interest in coding because they want to make something. And it gives you a easy foothold into coding when you show them that they can be able to make by writing code. So I have students that want to create stories, they want to create games, they want to get rid of a boring, PowerPoint or Google Slides presentation and have something that has a wow factor to it. And so by introducing the coding and showing them that that can bring that wow factor, it's an easy in for them.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that insight. And so how do you use Tynker with core subjects?
Well, I have an example of one today. I'm going to bring up my screen. So as a technology coach, I work with teachers on how they can authentically use technology with their students. And so hopefully our attendees have heard of breakouts. Breakouts are basically digital versions of escape rooms. And so I've worked with teachers before on how they could create one for their students, or we've gone to the next step and had the students start creating so that they are authentically showing what they've learned in the content area through this clue-based game. And so the example here is science one. I have this on a Google site. And as I go through it, I have some different things embedded. And one of the items that is going to be embedded is a Tynker project. What's going to happen is I'm using Tynker to create a clue that's going to then help whoever's playing this game open up a lock on my Google form. And so I have this Google form embedded on the site that you put your answers in, and that will open up the locks, and you will then break out. And so to get one of those clues, the students are going to have a chance to code a Tynker project. And so I'm going to switch over to Tynker, and we're going to go through what that project could look like. So for the example one that I'm showing the teacher and the students, is just kind of very basic, kind of giving them that introduction of, this is the bare minimum of what's needed, and they can then take it to the next level. So the first thing I start out with is I have my stage, and I need to prep my stage a little bit by adding some backgrounds. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a scenario where, and so I'm going to draw this image, and I just want a very basic white background, nothing too fancy. And what it's going to do is I'm going to have a character that's going to give the students a multiple choice question. And based upon the answer they select, they're either going to get the clue or they're going to be told that that was incorrect and they're going to have to try again. So I need to create my stage of what's going to happen with those scenarios. So the first stage I need is the blank one. The second stage I'm going to grab is, again, solid color background, but this is going to be for my incorrect response. And so just very simply, I'm going to type on here, let's go red. I'm just going to put that up at the top, and I'm going to rename this incorrect. And then I'm going to add a second stage. And if I had incorrect, I'm now going to have correct. And so I have my 3 stages set up, and I'm now going to go back to my project. The next thing I need is I need my actor. And one of the best benefits of Tynker that I found is the backpack, where I'm able to store different items so that I can carry them across to different projects. So I have one already that's going to be my actor. And so I'm just going to drag this down and add my actor in. And with my actor, I'm going to notice that there are 3 different costumes. So I have one where it's what I'm going to have when my character is going to talk. I have one when the project's going to start, kind of like saying hello. And then I have my reveal. And so with this one, I've been able to add in whatever that clue is going to be for the lock. And so by showing the students how you're able to just add text and move things around and layer them, they're able to create and set themselves up for dynamic storytelling with their project. So now that I have my actor in place, I have one more actor I need to add in. I always like to have a help. So I'm going to add an actor, and I'm going to upload one that I already have saved on my computer. And then this final actor, I'm going to set up with a reveal if they get the incorrect response. And so I'm going to rename this actor Chemical Bond. So I now have my stage and my 2 actors that I'm going to need for this project. For the stage, there is no coding that's needed. So I'm just going to leave this empty area blank. But for my characters, I want to start bringing in some code. And just like before, we saw how it's easy to change from block to text-based. I'm just going to come over here and click the JS up in this top right-hand corner. It's going to be my JavaScript. And I already have much of my code typed out earlier. So I'm just going to be able to copy and paste that in. So I'm going to bring in my first set of code. Well, maybe not. Something's going on there. So I'm just going to go out this with the block because I'm not able to bring up my text-based code typing right now.
It's a typical coding scenario when things don't go as expected. But that's great. There's more than one option.
There always is when it comes to technology.
Yep.
What's also helpful is I have this search bar over here, so I'm able to find different items and be able to quickly grab them and drag them out. So I know I needed a say. And so I'm going to alter this, just make some quick modifications. What's also nice about this is not only do we have text-based, but we can also record. And so I'm going to be able to bring out a recording. And then since this is on start, I need to switch my costume after I'm done giving my introduction saying hello. And so I'm going to switch to my talking one. And I'm also going to switch my background because a lot of the way this is set up is based upon what background I have showing up on my page. So for my chemical bond, I have this set up that on start, it's going to be hidden. And it's only going to appear when I have a certain background showing up. So I'm going to switch this. And since I have two different backgrounds possible, I need to set up for both scenarios. So if I get correct response, I want it to be hidden. And if I get an incorrect response, I want this character to show. I'm just going to set the character up over here. And then the big part is now, how is this going to come together with the question? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to, again, set this up with a certain background. So when the background switches to blank, I'm going to have it play a sound. And I'm going to record these in a little bit, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those questions or those opening statements and turn them into audio files to have that character say while this code project is playing. And so I'm now going to ask whoever's seeing this clue a choice question. And so I have choices, and what I want to do is I want to have 3 possible choices. And so this is where you can now start bringing in that content. So talking about chemical, I'm going to press on the correct.
Oh, hey, Dan. I'm losing you there. It's coming in a little muffled.
Up in a forever loop. It's going to
Dan, you're breaking up. We can't hear you.
based upon the answer.
Dan, could you drop off and come back in?
What do you mean?
We can't hear you very well, Dan. Could you drop off and come back in?
Give me one second.
Thank you. We've lost you for those last couple of minutes there.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. We can't see you, but we can hear you.
Okay.
That's fine. That works. We can see your screen.
Perfect. So I'm going to be setting up my question that's going to have different choices, and based upon the choice that the participants put in, it's going to then activate the different backgrounds and the different actors that are going to show up. And so I have this set up that if the answer is covalent, I'm going to switch to my background that's correct. I'm also going to switch my costume for my actor to where I'm going to reveal the correct response. And I'm going to play another recording. Earlier, I didn't set this up thinking ahead. So I need to switch this over, because if they get it incorrect, I need to set up what's going to happen. So now if they get it incorrect, I'm going to switch the background to incorrect. I'm going to have a different recording play. And I'm going to ask this question again. This way, it will continuously run through this project so that when the students are trying on that Google site, where I'll have this embedded, they'll be able to answer the question, and then depending on their answer, either see the incorrect or correct screens. Now, when setting this up with students, I also have the ability to add a tutorial. And so I can create a tutorial based upon this project. And what this will help them do is it will guide them through how they could then create their own. And this way, they're not doing exactly what you're showing them. They're able to make the modifications to fit whatever content they were studying that they're going to be using to create their own breakout. And so what I usually like to do is I start off with my tutorial showing them that example that they would be able to then practice and try out. After they try it out, I'm now going to start taking them through how to set this up. So just like I did for you right now, I'm going to start off with the stage. And I'm going to talk about how they're going to set up their costumes for their stage. So that correct and incorrect and that black. And I'm also able to embed different items in here. And so I find, especially during this pandemic, creating tutorial videos have been a lifesaver. And so earlier today, tutorial for setting up the stage, and I have it saved on YouTube. And so I'm going to bring that in because I can now add in media, and I'm going to bring in that video. And I'm just going to add it right into that tutorial. And so it will embed the tutorial and play right here in Tynker. So they don't have to leave Tynker and go somewhere else. What's also nice is I'm able to have it set up that when they're going through this tutorial, they are set to different areas. So I'm going to have this set for the stage when they get to this page. And then when we look at the third page, that's when I'm going to start putting in my different code. I'm now going to have this set up to appear for my character, Mr. G. Now, the first time they're creating this, I'm going to guide them through step by step. But then I'm going to want them to then get to the point where they're going to create a blank project. They're going to create their own actors, set up their own stage, and have this fit with their content area. And so just going through here, I can now start bringing in, and since I used the blocks, I can have it set up for them so that they'll see what it's like when they're going through their project. And so they can see the JavaScript over here in the tutorial, and then they could use the blocks to be able to put this together. Another way of starting to move them forward, where they'll see it in JavaScript in the tutorial, and then they'll have to decode the JavaScript to understand, okay, I need to find a sound, I need to get a play, and I'm going to have a recording, so I'm going to have to record something. All right, I need to go in to switch my costume, and I'm going to now need to pick what that costume is going to be called. I need to now switch my background, and I need to set it to whatever I'm going to call that background. And so by having this JavaScript, it can then be able to help the students start to make that move of what the block-based code would be versus the JavaScript. After this is completely finished, going back out to Tynker, what I can then do is this project can be shared. And this is where the embed code comes in. So this is what I then copied and I placed into my Google site so that it would be embedded on that page for the students to then be able to play that coded project.
That's incredible.
So that's kind of how this project could progress through and be able to not only have the students do some coding within their content area, no matter what content area it is, but also be authentically included into another project. It's not just, oh, I'm going to sit down and be coding right now. Tynker and coding is going to be a component to this overarching project that I'm compiling together and creating.
That is fantastic, Dan. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Dan, it was awesome having you. We really appreciate that demonstration. It was a great way of showing how to use Tynker in a much more advanced way. I'm going to go back to our slide presentation here. And, oh, Dan, were you finished? Or did I jump in too early?
No, you were perfect.
Oh, okay. Just making sure. I hope I didn't want to miss anything else that was great. And so thank you for that real-time project building, Dan. That was fantastic. Thank you. Thanks again. All right. So all about getting connected with Tynker. So we have an awesome Twitter community and Facebook community group that I manage. We would love to see you guys there. #everystudentcancode, #everyteachercancode, where you can share what your students are doing and also where you can see what other teachers around the world are doing as well in their classrooms. In the Facebook community, we let you know about all things new with Tynker, and it's also a great place to share and learn more about what's happening. We also have great support. So if you are using Tynker and you do need extra support, please feel free to contact us. Oops, I think I lost my share there. We have some awesome educator support, email address, and I think, did I lose it?
It's back.
It's back. Okay, awesome. Thanks. And there we go. And you can also get technical support at tynker.com. But what I wanted to highlight here was to go get more training at GoTynker/training, because that is where you can get free PD and learn to do things like what Dan did today. But Dan's was a little bit special, I think. Dan will have to show you that himself. But you can learn how to do that there as well. We have Python and JavaScript. We also have other AP courses that are coming this year, and all of the PD is free, as well as getting Tynker certified. You can become a Tynker Distinguished Educator, just like Dan. He took a lot of work for him to get there, but all teachers can do it, and that is free as well. So we encourage you to learn more about Tynker, and please join the Tynker family. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Leandra, and thanks you once again to Dan for that awesome presentation. We were so happy to be here with all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for being here and for your support. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Paige. And thank you to all of you once again. Thank you, Paige.
Thank you.
And we'll stick around for a couple of more minutes to answer any questions that you guys may have in the chat. And we'll be here.